The latest phone calls released by Blue Boy involving Lorne and Casey, they explain a lot. And I'm going to talk about it for a second because it is, and a coyote is running across our parking lot. Apologies. We have a lot of deer movement over where I work, and I'm guessing that's why. He's a scout. Anyway, moving on. The entire Casey saga. I've watched Lorne go from this psycho, jealous, rage monster to sympathy playing victim to 100% virgin confirmed. But there's one constant. It's this evolution, or should I say de-evolution, of Lorne's thought process and what he thinks is important and what he thinks is not. A 50-plus-year-old man talking to a young, beautiful actress. And the topic of conversation for a short while is about Lorne's mom and his stepdad and whether or not they had sex. That's not a topic that's come up between me and my friends, at least as far as I can remember. I can't remember a time where we're discussing anything and I go, oh, hey, by the way, my parents had sex last night, or I haven't heard my parents having sex for about a month now. It's just another moment in Lorneography that you scratch your head and you go, is this guy for real? We know Lorne is a hammer and he thinks everything is a nail. So when he starts off with Casey, tries to play nice, then rage monster, then jealous rage monster, and then just rage monster again. And eventually, he'll just drop all of that and try to switch to another angle. Try to play nice again, try to play like he doesn't care, try to get chased. And when none of that works, as we know, Lorne Lynn Armstrong wants to talk shexshual. He wants to talk sexually with these women. And because Casey would not engage with him about sex, and they didn't have phone sex, and they didn't do anything sexual, at least in the calls that I've heard on Blue Boy's channel, the Casey calls, Lorne will steer it back there. He was careful at first, but now it's just right out in the open. Please talk about sex with me. I am willing to tell you the dumbest shit in the world. I'm willing to tell you things that will put you to sleep if I think it's going to get you to say the word penis or vagina or cock or whatever he wants her to say. He spent, 20 minutes? I don't even remember how long the call was, but I'm sitting there listening. Imagine a guy goes, hey man, I'll tell you something special about me. When I was 12 years old, I had my first wet dream. And then I'm going to go into it with you as if it's this special thing. God chose me. I was the first person to ever have a wet dream. That would be like a girl coming up to you, telling you that she wants to tell you something special about her, and then starts talking about her first fucking period. Lorne and his descriptions of sex with women are beyond hysterical. He repeats things that he hears from other people. Everything he says about sex, it's things that I hear friends joke about, like I couldn't even feel anything, hot dog down the hallway, blah, blah, blah. Listening to Lorne try to describe, sex in general, let alone the female reproductive organs, how babies are made, finding out that no one taught him about sex. Now I'm starting to wonder, and now I'm starting to kind of piece it together that maybe the reason this guy's still a virgin is because he is terrified of it, and he has always been terrified of it, and he had a chance once to do it, and he froze up. He just couldn't bring himself to do it. That would be a likely scenario, at least in my head, from what I can tell about the way the conversations go. Casey's having to lead him. And me, if I'm trying to impress a woman, and I don't mean to sound like an asshole here, but if you're trying to impress a woman, Lorne, you're going to be intimate. You don't want to say shit like you're talking about, bro. What you want to say is, oh man, she tapped out. We were going for like 3 hours. I was once told by an actor named Brett Hopkins, very good actor, local actor. He said, look, if a casting agent ever asks you if you can ride a horse, you say yes. You leave and you immediately go get horse riding lessons. Immediately. Whatever they ask you, you say yes, then you go learn. If I'm Lorne and I've had my first conversation with Casey, and I realize I don't know anything about anything, I'm going to go ask somebody. Of course, he doesn't have anybody to ask, and I don't think he's supposed to be on the internet. I mean, what's he going to do? Hey, Mom, hey, I know I'm in my 50s, but can you teach me about sex? I would be asking somebody, anybody, try to start a conversation with another guy. Guys like to talk about sex. He'd just be spitting out anything that Lorne wanted to hear. He could take those stories, bring them back to Casey, and they'd be his own. But no, we're getting, I masturbate with a condom on, because it enhances the feeling. Holy fucking shit, Lorne Armstrong, you are an idiot. You are a virgin. You will always be a virgin. You will never lose your virginity. I know there are people who think that you're not on Team Virgin. Well, my friend, you are the captain of Team Virgin. The trepidation you have, the hesitation when it comes to talking about sex. You're unclear on just about everything that you've supposedly done. The details you have are no more than she was flailing around. I was inside her and I couldn't feel it. It's what it feels like, what it doesn't feel like. Lorne talking to Kayla about putting it in once without, God, it's so gross, without a condom. And then putting the condom on afterwards, which we know he wasn't going to, but putting the condom on afterwards because he wants to see what it feels like. Listen to me. You don't say things like that unless you are Team Virgin. He started to open up to Casey a little bit. But the story he was given about some 29-year-old that he had sex with, he would just contradict himself the entire time they were talking about it. I have no reason to believe that Lorne has ever had sex with anyone. It was odd. It was weird. We had sex. She had a kid. I think Lorne wanted to have sex with her. And it was odd to him. It felt a little weird. He was 19, didn't know anything about anything. She was 29, had a kid, so she'd obviously had sex before. And I'm sure Lorne looked at her, well, she's had a kid, must be a slide. But I don't think he ever went through it. I don't think he ever went through with it. I don't. This is Lorne Armstrong we're talking about here. And going back to the Casey calls, how he goes from, as I said, the rage monster to this confident sex addict to this pathetic, I didn't know anything about sex. No one gave me shexshual. No one gave me sex ed. None of my brothers helped me. I didn't know how babies were made until I was much older. God almighty. This is not how you win a woman over, Lorne. You don't want to have a fix-me-up guy all around. Women can forgive a lot. If you have a lot of money, some things can be forgiven. This is not all women. I'm just talking about it. You know what? It's all people. If you got a lot of money, some people can forgive not being so great in the sack. If you're incredible in the sack, some people can forgive that you don't have a lot of money and you're in financial debt. You're a scooter. Fun to ride, but you don't want anybody else to see them, Lorne, you've never even been a scooter. You've never been a booty call. I mean, I honestly believe after listening to these Casey calls, and I didn't mean these to sound shallow. I was making a point about there are things that people can have and people can do that artists, you forgive them for their shortcomings. Because you're getting something out of it, keeping it real. Lorne, you have no money, you have no future, you have no job, you have no prospects, and you're a virgin, and you expect this hot young actress to drop everything and start a new life with this guy who is not even going to be spectacular in the sack, who's not even going to be able to offer her any kind of life whatsoever. I know if you partner up with someone, you can't do it all on your own. And Casey would be doing it all on her own. Lorne would be at home, she'd come home. Hey, honey, come in here. Come on in. Stop the stupid bullshit. Tell me about your job. Did you kiss anybody today? You sitting on anybody's lap? Any director ask you if you wanted to have sex? All of that just points to Virgin. How insanely jealous he is. How overbearing and overprotective, I guess you would call it. He probably calls it overprotective, but we call it obsessive. He's always concerned that there's sex going on. I just feel like Lorne, if he gets with a woman, if they don't have sex on the very first night, he's doomed. Just from listening to the way he talks, especially, talking to Casey, the way he operates is, he's afraid that you're going to have sex with somebody else before you have sex with him. Because in my opinion, if Lorne had sex with a woman, and that might be it. We're done. It's over. I don't think that would stop his insanity. I think it would only increase his obsession. But I do feel like, okay, we've had sex. Okay, all right. Hurdle number 1. Now let's work on having it again. Everything's such a big deal to him, and he's put so much pressure on him that he feels like sharing. Let me tell you something about you don't know, the way I masturbate. Oh boy. Lorne, let's have a discussion. Here's what I want. I want me, Cornville, / Reborn, Dan Jones. You know what? I'm going to compile a list of everybody I want to get in a circle. And we all need to have a talk with Lorne. We all need to educate him on things about life, about women, about sex. I'm sure there's somebody in our community who is fiduciary, who's financially responsible, that could teach him the ways of the force when it comes to money. I just wish that he would open up about why sex is such a big deal to him, why he struggles so much with it. Now, I would have given him something if he was a reliable narrator and he was talking about all of this sexual abuse, but in actuality it sounded like experimentation. He was talking about sexual abuse and everything. I would understand. But this is Lorne, and anything he says you cannot take. You have to take it at face value. Unless there are any facts behind it, any proof, you just don't believe it. So I would like to ask him why there's so much pressure on sex. Why does it matter so much? Some people, they see sex as ownership, I guess. They see, well, his penis went inside you, now you're tainted forever. But listening to him talk to Casey about masturbation, listening to him talk to her about his imaginary sexual exploits, his imaginary relationships, all of this, he's playing the pathetic role right now. He's playing the you could teach me. You know, I just had some bad experience in the past, you know, that's why I'm not successful. It's all about sex. But when you start sharing things and you think the things they want to hear is about sex, it's pretty telling. That's not opening up about anything, Lorne Armstrong. That's you trying to steer the conversation to sex to try to get Casey to open up about what she does. You can insert yourself, pun intended, into those descriptions, and that can be your fantasy that she's talking about you because you probably are a cuck. We've made videos about that. So I just think with the Casey things, we're watching a guy go from a rage monster steering all the way to please talk about sex with me. Would you just please talk about it with me? I can even be pathetic. You can even give me lessons. But would you just say some sex words for me? That will make me feel like we're together. Because when you have sex, you're in a relationship. He's sad. I just wanted to put out a rant video. Haven't really gone off like that in a while. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one.